bombshell this afternoon. Kyle Busch is selling Kyle Busch Motorsports to Spire. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Raise your hand if at the beginning of this year you saw Spire, a team that a couple years ago was selling charters, being the biggest mover and shaker in the industry this season. We'll talk all about the latest Spire KBM news in just a moment, but first, it's official. With an extensive list of accomplishments throughout their careers, Donnie Allison, Jimmy Johnson, and Chad Knaus have secured their place in NASCAR history amongst the greats. They are the NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2024. And in addition, Janet Guthrie was named the recipient of the Landmark Award for her outstanding contributions to the sport. The NASCAR Hall of Fame induction dinner and ceremony will take place on Friday, January 19th, 2024. But that's not all. The entire induction weekend is full of events and special programming for fans, families, and friends to enjoy. Tickets are on sale now, so head to NASCARHall.com to get your tickets and be a part of what is sure to be an amazing weekend celebrating the NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2024. Now, before we talk KBM, yesterday Hendrick Motorsports released an interesting headline, tied two drivers together that I don't think could be any more different from one another. Rajah Caruth, a young driver still trying to find his footing in the NASCAR ranks, will drive the Hendrick Motorsports number 17 Xfinity Series car at Phoenix at the end of this year. A great opportunity for young Rajah Caruth, still looking for his first career Xfinity Series top 10, but he's only ever been on a part-time schedule, driving for non-key OEM partner teams. So this opportunity with Hendrick, although it's just a one-off, is the best individual opportunity he's had. Rajah has struggled to find consistency in trucks, but I think he has improved this year. Take a look at his last 4 races, 4 straight top 15 finishes, including a very impressive 6th place run at Bristol a couple weeks ago. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's like a sponge, constantly absorbing information. This opportunity with Hendrick, again, it's just one race, but it's a great chance to hopefully run top 10 and maybe turn some heads. But before Rajah takes the wheel at Phoenix in just a couple weeks, 61-year-old Boris Said will drive the same number 17 Hendrick Xfinity car at the Charlotte Roval. That's right, Boris Said, the quintessential road course ringer for basically the entirety of the 2000s. You could count on him to show up for at least Watkins Glen and Sonoma every year. Hasn't raced in the Cup Series since Coda last year, but he's back for potentially one last hurrah. Here's what he told Racer.com this week, quote, "If I do well in this race, it'll definitely be my last for sure in NASCAR. To end like this in the best car I've ever had is pretty neat. It's exciting." This is crazy to me. Boris Said does have an Xfinity win. It was Montreal back in 2010, but he's never consistently been in, I would even say, decent equipment. Even in this case, Boris Said told Racer.com that originally he was working on a deal with Carl Long. But then when he went to Rick Hendrick to ask about, maybe getting a motor for that team, Rick Hendrick gave him an early Christmas present and offered him the 17 car for a race. I hope Boris Said has a good run. I really don't know what to expect because while I'm sure Boris Said is still a good road course racer, there's a lot stacked against him. He's never raced at the Charlotte Roval. He hasn't raced in NASCAR in over a year. With the way the rules and the format is, he'll get maybe 20, 30 minutes of practice, and that's it. Green flag flies. He's going to have to learn a lot, feel a lot out on the fly, but good luck to Boris Said. I hope he has a fantastic race. Again, Boris Said, Rajah Caruth, two completely different drivers, different ends of the spectrum, different backgrounds, different points in their careers. Rajah's still a young guy trying to figure it out, find his footing. Boris Said, on the other hand, is just looking to go out with a bang. He's been there, done all that. I never thought I'd see Boris Said and Rajah Caruth's name in the same press release. So I thought that was really interesting. Good luck to both. Real quick, I just saw this on social media, but Noah Gragson, of course, was reinstated by NASCAR a few weeks ago. I believe he ran a Pinty Series race, and I think he's run at least one ASA late model race recently, but so far he has not announced any future NASCAR plans. He released this short video on social media, just a training montage, Rocky style, of him working out with Everlong by the Foo Fighters blaring in the background. I can't play the audio for copyright reasons, but that was one of my favorite songs back on I think it was Guitar Hero World Tour. Yeah, it was good. Not much to make of this video other than maybe this is Noah trying to push back against the narrative that he's not always taken the best care of himself physically, hasn't always prioritized physical fitness. I think that has been a fair critique of him in the past. Maybe this is Noah's way of sort of trying out for potential teams or showing the world that, hey, that narrative, that's a thing of the past. This is the new and improved Noah Gragson. I'm sure that's what this is. I have no idea where Noah Gragson's going to end up. I hope he's somewhere in NASCAR. He's too talented to not be racing on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I've seen a lot of folks throw out Kaulig Racing's name, and maybe, I'm not sure that's a great fit. One, I'm not sure it's smart to throw Noah Gragson right back into the Cup Series after the on-track struggles he had this year. Maybe it would be an Xfinity Series deal with Kaulig. I do think he'd fit in well with like Chris Rice, who's a very energetic, big personality. But Kaulig just moved Daniel Hemrick into the Cup Series. We know that Daniel Hemrick and Noah Gragson have not always seen eye to eye. It would be a confusing fit, in my opinion, but that seems to be one of the rumors out there that Noah Gragson could go to Kaulig. Doesn't really make sense to me, but I'm not in charge over there. That could be an option. Anyway, now let's talk Spire. Spire Motorsports is making moves. They are building, expanding their NASCAR empire quickly. Really, this crusade began a few months back when they announced they'd signed Corey LaJoie to a multi-year extension. On the surface, that wasn't too surprising, but what was interesting were the reports that Corey LaJoie had offers from bigger teams on the table. He turned those down to stay with Spire. Then this summer, Gamebridge, a massive insurance agency company, formed a massive partnership with Spire. I heard that they actually purchased a majority stake in the team. Not sure if that's exactly true or how the deal was worked out, but they now have a massive partnership, and that sudden influx of cash has allowed Spire to make some bold moves. Last week, Spire announced they had purchased Live Fast Motorsports charter for reportedly a record-setting $40 million. And in the same breath, they announced an alliance of sorts with Trackhouse to run a third car for their new driver, Zane Smith. So much is happening. Spire Motorsports, Gamebridge, who has ties to Andretti Autosport and open wheel racing. They've got ties to Rev Racing on the stock car side. This juggernaut continues to get bigger and bigger. Today, Spire announced that they have purchased Kyle Busch Motorsports, the Truck Series team. This is huge. It's huge for Spire because now they go from being a single truck series team to potentially a 3-truck team should they keep all of Kyle Busch's assets intact. It's worth noting that Spire and KBM have a press conference scheduled for Saturday, I believe, at Talladega. So while we found a lot of information out today, we haven't been able to ask a lot of more pressing questions. So I'm sure we'll find out even more this weekend. Before we talk more about Spire, I want to take a step back and talk about what this means for Kyle Busch and KBM. Because Kyle Busch Motorsports, they are the Truck Series in many ways. 100 wins as a team, 2 championships, and this team's only been around since like 2010. And you look at the great young talent that's come in and out of their program, from Eric Jones to Christopher Bell to William Byron, Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Bubba Wallace. A lot of good young Cup Series drivers. Many of them have had great success in the higher ranks of NASCAR already. Many of them got one of their first big breaks thanks to Kyle Busch Motorsports. Now, that team is going away. Kyle Busch released a lengthy statement earlier today. I'll just read it to you. When we started the Truck Series team back in 2010, I never imagined that we would be able to win 100 races with 18 different drivers and that one day I'd be racing in the Cup Series alongside so many of the drivers that I once mentored at KBM. I owe a lot of gratitude to so many people, starting with Samantha and my family for believing in this dream that I had. It took countless hours by so many amazing people to make KBM the winningest team in Truck Series history. I will always appreciate everyone that walked through the doors and gave their all to make this such a successful organization. Not only has it been the people that were employed here, but it's also the families that supported them while they worked long hours and traveled on the weekends, sacrificing time at home and missing family events. And I certainly can't say enough thanks to Toyota for the first 13 years of support and to Chevrolet for stepping up to the plate this year. Due to their commitment and that of our great sponsors, we've been able to compete at the highest levels and hang a lot of banners. I'm at a different point in my life now than I was back in 2010. My family has grown, my Cup Series team has changed this year, and our son's racing schedule has become as demanding as my own. It's important to me to be able to spend more time with my family and my number 8 team at Richard Childress Racing. It'll be hard to walk away from the amazing facility that we have built. I'll miss walking the shop floor, talking with our employees, hosting our fan days in the lobby, and spending countless hours there ensuring its success. However, I know at this point in my life and in my career that this is the correct decision. Man, this is surreal. First GMS Racing a few weeks ago announcing they're shutting down at year's end. Now Kyle Busch Motorsports, these staples of the Craftsman Truck Series going away or evolving. It's surreal. It's honestly a lot to process just as a fan, and we've heard this rumor that Spire's buying KBM for a few days. We talked about on the show a couple episodes ago. When I first heard the rumor, it wasn't surprising to me that Spire would be looking to expand or that they'd be looking to spend even more money. The surprising part was that Kyle Busch would be willing to give up this project, this machine he'd worked so hard to create, especially when you consider his future plans. He's been open this year about his desires to one day share a Craftsman truck with his son, Brexton Busch, when Brexton comes of age. In fact, I was watching a great interview on NASCAR's YouTube channel yesterday. It was released yesterday. It was probably filmed a couple weeks ago, but it was Alex Weaver sitting down with Kyle Busch and Samantha Busch. And in this video, again, shot very recently, Kyle Busch once again outlined his plan to race with his son, to keep a seat at KBM open for him.
When he's 15, I raced the truck thing for a year to win a championship for me. And then the next year, he runs the short track races when he's 16.
Maybe it was filmed a couple weeks back, but still, perhaps in the back of Kyle Busch's mind, he's been considering this for a long, long while. Maybe even going back to last year when he was working with JGR trying to negotiate with Toyota. He said it in his statement, Kyle Busch as a person has changed quite a bit in the last 13 years. He has more responsibilities, different responsibilities. Maybe he's been thinking about this for a while now, but considering those recent statements about Brexton Busch and KBM, my guess is these negotiations went pretty quick. Spire/Gamebridge have shown that they're willing to fork over a freight load of cash if need be. Perhaps the price was too good for Kyle Busch to pass up on. Can't blame him for that. And who knows what sort of agreement they've worked out. Maybe in the future, there'll be a Spire truck open for Kyle and Brexton to share. It's just interesting. It's really interesting. And I don't think I mentioned it, but Kyle Busch isn't just selling KBM. He's selling Rowdy Manufacturing, their CNC shop. Spire's buying the whole kit and caboodle. When I first heard this rumor, I thought Spire may be purchasing KBM more for the building than anything else. Like maybe Kyle Busch Motorsports will continue to exist as its own separate brand, maybe just a smaller downsized team. I thought Spire, who if I'm not mistaken, are they still working out of the shop that used to be Alan Kulwicki's shop? I know they moved in there 2 or 3 years ago. Spire, we're talking about all this expansion. They need more physical space to house their third Cup Series team. They've got a truck now. They obviously wanted to expand in trucks. Like KBM has a nice shop there in Mooresville, North Carolina. I figured maybe Spire was just buying the building more than anything. We now know that they are purchasing the team, many of Kyle Busch Motorsports and Rowdy Manufacturing's assets as well. But at first, I thought the building might be what this deal was mainly for. A lot of moving parts. This kind of a deal has massive ripple effects throughout the NASCAR industry, not just the Truck Series. Although the Truck Series, this does have a serious effect on them and certain drivers. Like Chase Purdy, a few weeks back announced he was coming back to KBM for 2024. I don't know what this means for his contract. Maybe he stays with Spire now? We'll have to wait and see. What about Nick Sanchez and Rev Racing, who had a technical alliance with KBM this year? They have the mutual Gamebridge connection, so I imagine Rev Racing will stick around. Nick Sanchez, I think, has had a very good rookie season in trucks. He's, I think, 6th or 7th in the playoffs right now. He's had a good season. I'm sure Nick Sanchez will stick around as well, but hopefully we find out more details this weekend at Talladega. Reporters will get the chance to ask some of these questions. But my initial reaction is, wow, Spire Motorsports is expanding quickly. Are they expanding too fast? Maybe that's a conversation for another day. It's exciting to see Spire, Gamebridge, that whole group making investments. They're obviously optimistic about NASCAR's future, but it's still bittersweet because love him or hate him, Kyle Busch Motorsports has been a force, often the dominant force in the truck series. And now they'll cease to exist, or now they've been absorbed by the Spire empire. Big moves, massive moves being made. But share your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'm really curious to see how this may affect Kyle Busch's future with Gragson, with his own driving career, with all of that. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR every single day. And as always, thank you to my Patreon supporters for your very generous support. I just recorded a new episode of Power Hour, my podcast with Brennan Poole. Y'all will get to hear that here real soon. Our special guest was Chase Briscoe, aka Cal Naughton Jr. I'm excited for y'all to both hear and see that episode shortly. But thanks for watching, y'all. Take care.